rookies are rookies. The game's faster until you're. I mean, and the other thing, Mark, is you grew up. You entered the NFL where starters played in the preseason.
Right.
So you got a little game speed.
Sure.
That's not really the way it works anymore.
And it's not quite the game speed of a regular season game, which isn't quite the game speed of a playoff game. So he's going to have just a crash course on trying to figure everything out. The things he has going for him, though, I mean, there's a laundry list of positives going into this season other than just his talent and ability. What they did around him, not just the players they got, but the types of players. A Keenan Allen, similar to when I was with the Jets, I can equate a player like that as a Jericho Cotchery, where he is like your dependable third down, 1,000 yards a year kind of guy. Like he is just going to be Mr. Reliable for you. You know what I mean? They have another guy like that in Mercedes Lewis in the tight end room helping Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett. So there's more targets. Then you add a guy like DeAndre Swift, who's used to playing running back by committee. I mean, this thing's starting to look good. You got Wright at right tackle. You're figuring out the center position. But you have some real pieces on offense. And with a coordinator like Shane Waldron, right, he took Geno Smith, upped his completion percentage. I mean, just knocked it out of the park with Geno his first year as a starter. Well, he's going to have something like that in Caleb. And part of it is, when do you let him be Superman and go to the telephone booth, right? We've had that discussion here before with Caleb in the offseason, talking about his ability. And when is it time to just play ball? I think adding all of those targets around him, and don't forget, I left out DJ Moore. That wasn't on purpose.
Roma
the guy had, and they drafted Rome. So you're expecting that to be an explosive player. You have another one in Keenan Allen, who's going to have fresh legs because DJ Moore and maybe Rome kind of start most of maybe he gets a little less snaps than them, but he comes in crucial situations. So DJ Moore was like 40% of their offense last year. So, and that was with Tyson Bagent and Justin Fields. So this is set up for immediate success. They don't play the thing working against them is that their division is so strong. Well, they don't play a division game till week 11. You've made that point.
Green Bay.
So, I mean, what if they just started out 7-2? You know what I mean? Like
crazy.
it's not an off the wall prediction. Plus, you can't forget, I mean, I think Eberflus saved his job last year by the way that defense performed down the stretch.
Yes.
Adding Montez Sweat shored up their defensive line. They have two studs in Edmonds and Edwards at linebacker. And then in the back end, they have three capable cornerbacks. You got guys who played 800-plus snaps together. You know what I mean? This kind of thing is really going to start to take form and take shape. Jalen Johnson, stud player. So it's like, man, there's a lot. It feels more like the Jets year 2 for me, 2010, with, you bring in LaDainian Tomlinson, you have Sean Green, Jericho Cotchery, Braylon Edwards, Santonio Holmes, Dustin Keller at tight end. Like, there's guys everywhere you look. They might not be top 5 at their position, but they're at least top half of the league.
Yeah.
And then the defense, 2 stud linebackers. They don't have, obviously, Darrelle Revis, but great defensive backs and a system that they all know. Back to the Shane Waldron point, and we'll wrap it up, but when do you let him be Superman, and when do you keep him within the confines of the offense? Because that's going to be, feeling that part of the game. I think he's going to have that part of his call sheet that has the quick completions, quick answers, quick game, the stuff he knocked out of the park with Geno. That's going to be long. Because if at any point Caleb misses 3 in a row, hey, let's get him 2 completions in a row. Let's get our quarterback back and get him distributing the football the way we know how he can, and let's do it easy. Let's give him an easy completion. So I think they're primed and poised to have an amazing year. I'm happy to kick off the season with them.
Oh, I think, there's very few games that opening week I'm more fascinated to watch. That's way at the top of my list.
Okay. Are you guys hearing what he's saying? And Colin's agreeing with him. 7-2 is not crazy. They're poised to have a, very quickly get things going and be successful. And, listen, if you're saying that they can start off 7-2, you're not going to drop 5-6 games, in the second half of the season. That would be quite the grind if that happens. So, you're talking about potentially the Bears immediately shooting up to like a 10, 11, even 12 win team, which would be wild. That if they could win 11 or 12 games, that will be competing for the division. It's hard to imagine. I know Detroit has a pretty interesting schedule, especially with a lot of these indoor games. I forget what it exactly was, like 11 indoor games or something like that. Maybe not that much. We know Goff plays really well indoors. I've made a video about that before. But that's why I think it's shocking that people even question whether or not the Bears will make the playoffs. I think it'll come down to Caleb. I'm on the fence if it's between more on Caleb or more on Shane Waldron, because I really believe you want to let Caleb be special, right? The Superman booth, as Sanchez was talking about. You want to let him do that, but also, like he was mentioning, how you want to have those very short, quick, easy completions, which I've talked about extensively. That play sheet is going to be super long, and I think you want Caleb to begin to get comfortable being Caleb and being Superman, but maybe not as frequently as you would want necessarily, or think you would need. Not want, you think you would need. I think you let him be Superman when the game is out of reach, meaning they're down by 3 scores or 2 scores, or they're up by 2 or 3 scores, right? Let him get comfortable. Let him go a little bit more off script. Let him start to figure out what he can and can't do in a live NFL game and not just practice, preseason, whatever it may be. But I think it's unnecessary to have him explore that and figure that out in close games when you're actually genuinely competing for a playoff spot or even a division. Because I think you can look at it from a few different ways, honestly. You can say this season is supposed to just be a sandbox season, right? He's a rookie. This is a youngish team. Obviously, they have some veterans, but it's obviously like an up-and-coming team. So let Caleb just get comfortable. They're going to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, right? You can look at it that way. And then you're like, listen, we're not going to win a Super Bowl this year, so who cares? Let's just make sure that he's really situated. And then next season, then the Cowboys, then the Bears can really take off. Or you look at it like, you know what? We have a chance to win and win legitimately. We want to get this team into the playoffs. We want Caleb to already get playoff experience, because then by next year, now we already have this playoff experience. We already know. We know what it's like, very much like the Houston Texans with CJ Stroud. If the Texans didn't make it into the playoffs, that's like a whole nother year of growth that the Texans need to go through now. They need to experience what it's like to be in a playoff game. They need to experience what it's like to not only win a playoff game, but then also lose a playoff game, right? Like, all those experiences matter. And so it's like, if they can find themselves in the playoffs, the Bears, then they accelerate that process. It's not to say that they're going to be able to just, like, year one, go off and get to a Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl. We all know Nick Wright is potentially flirting with that. I'm not that confident just yet. I want to see how the season unfolds. But it is not, it's hard to not buy into the hype at this point. And a lot of Chicago Bears fans, when I make a lot of these videos and we talk about some of the hype, they say, like, let's just cut down the hype. Let's just stop it. And they get like all anxious about it. And I always say, just have fun with it. You finally have a team right now and a quarterback that people are dying to talk about and discuss and to hype up. And so just enjoy the ride, because you have no idea how this is all going to unfold anyway. So you may as well just be optimistic and be confident going into the season. But I think so much of it will come down. I think I didn't get to finish my point with this, but I'm on the fence between it, whether it's going to be between Shane Waldron and Caleb, meaning who's going to have more control over what Caleb does in that moment, in any given moment, when he decides to be Superman versus not. If Waldron says, do not do that, stick to the script, will Caleb actually do it? Or vice versa, will Shane Waldron be pushing him and saying, come on, I want you, go, be magical, go be Caleb. That's why we got you. That's why you're the number one pick. So it's just going to be interesting. I don't know enough of, obviously, of how that relation dynamic is going to be. For all we know, and I don't believe this, but for all we know, Caleb will be a little bit gun shy in that regard, right? He'll be a little bit more shy in the beginning of the season. For all I know, he's going to come out slinging, ready to go, and wants to show the whole world, I'm already better than Patrick Mahomes. I don't need even a rookie year to prove that. No idea. But I do think conservative in this regard is better because you have a team that you truly can win now with. And I think, honestly, the expectations outside of obviously Caleb learning and growing and getting better is experience in games that matter. So getting to the playoffs, getting into a division game when it's like the division's up for grabs matters so much more. If the Bears had no chance at playoffs for, let's just say, the schedule, the way how the season unfolded, where they like drop 5 games in a row, whatever it may be, and they have no chance at a division, they have no chance at playoffs. Yeah, playing a game on the road against the Lions or the Packers is experience, but it's a different level of experience. It's a different level of we beat this team. We beat the Packers on the road. We're now the number 1 seed in the division, right? Or we're going to be going to the playoffs. That matters more. And I think you can really accelerate that growth. So the sooner they can get to those types of situations and learn how to win in those situations, it's like hyperspeed, man, light speed. It's just you're just going to shoot through to the moon in that regard in terms of the growth and progress of not only Caleb but as a team as a whole. And so I think that now is like kind of where I've kind of floated around between what I think was like realistic expectations or what maybe a goal should be, and I think that's the goal. Playing games that matter this season so Caleb can start to get experience on how to win those games. That when he is down by 10, because we see this with young quarterbacks all the time, if Caleb's down by 10 going into the 4th, he doesn't try to win it in one play, which we see quarterbacks do all the time, especially quarterbacks that have the Superman ability like a Caleb Mahomes, Josh Allen. You have to learn play by play. Listen, if we are only going to get a field goal this drive, that's okay. We don't have to force the ball down the field. It's all really, really important lessons to learn. And so I think that part of the process for the Bears can genuinely happen this season. And not only can they prove to succeed in those circumstances, but then again, keep going to the next level, playoffs, winning a playoff game. So yeah, it's just funny to see Sanchez get so hyped up on the Bears, and same thing with Colin. Like, I think Colin was kind of flirting with this idea of how good the Bears were, because I think he left them off his playoff teams, if memory serves me correctly. I don't think he has them making the playoffs when he listed his NFC teams, which I just did the video a few days ago, and I honestly completely forget now. I don't believe. I think he had the Commanders as a wild card, and I forget what the other team is. And I think he had the Packers and the Lions. So yeah, that would. And there might probably, I forget who else, but so yeah, I mean, I just think that all aboard the hype train. Honestly, like, just enjoy it. If you're a Chicago Bears fan, just enjoy it. And it's more fun to go against the haters, because there's plenty of people that are saying that the Chicago Bears are going to be awful and that Caleb Williams is going to be a bust. It's better off to just tell them that they're wrong and enjoy that back and forth, rather than let them just kind of keep talking and dominate the comment section. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think that the Chicago Bears can actually start off 7-2 and maybe even win the division, get to the playoffs? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.